And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage our star Bette Davis with Elliott Reed in Goodnight, Mrs. Russell, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
I don't know how long I was unconscious. It seemed just for a moment, the moment crowded with horrible nightmares and dreadful sounds. I remember hearing a woman screaming and crying horribly. It was ghastly. I must have been unconscious several hours. And when I opened my eyes, it was dark, pitch dark. A clock was ticking somewhere, and I realized that the screaming woman had been me. Is anyone here? Where I'm tied up. Who's there? Can anyone hear me? Help! 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 Where am I?
You're in my room, Mrs. Russell.
It was Henry. Where was he? The room was black as night. I could see nothing. What was I doing here? Why was I tied up? How did I get here? I remembered nothing after feeling dizzy at Henry's. So that was it. You put something in my food, didn't you, Henry?
Yes, I did, Mrs. Russell. I didn't want to kill you at the cafe, you see.
Kill?
Yes, Mrs. Russell. Kill you. Dead.
Why, Henry? Why?
Because you're my enemy. You and all the others.
Your enemy? I like you, Henry. I've always liked you.
Don't lie, Mrs. Russell. You thought I didn't know, didn't you? You thought I didn't know what you were up to.
What I was up to?
Planning to kill me. Night after night, I've heard you, all of you, outside my window, whispering. Talking about how you were going to kill me. Didn't you know I could hear you?
I'm saying...
Oh, no, I'm smart, Mrs. Russell. And you know it. That's why all of you planned to kill me, get rid of me. Oh, it's just lucky I found out you were one of them. You'll be the first to die, Mrs. Russell. And you're going to die slowly, in the dark. How do you like that, Mrs. Russell? Be quiet, Mrs. Russell. Or I'll have to beat you up before I kill you.
I tried to make myself think. I remembered you're supposed to humor people that like Henry. I tried to control myself.
No one can hear you. No one even knows you're here. And I'm not going to untie you either. Not until you're dead.
Henry, I'm only in...
You'll lie here in the dark and listen to the clock for half an hour. Just half an hour, Mrs. Russell. And then I'll kill you. You see, I want you to suffer like you've made me suffer.
Henry, I'm just an ordinary woman.
Oh, I'm smart enough to see through those remarks you made.
Remarks?
Always talking about what a good cook I was. As if you felt I wasn't a man. I know what you were thinking.
Henry, I didn't mean anything of the sort. I really...
And then rubbing it in about your precious son in the army. Rubbing it in, torturing me.
Henry, that's wrong.
And always ordering number 4 dinner. Oh, I'm smart, you see, Mrs. Russell. I can figure things out. Number 4 is lucky, you said. 4 for 4F, you meant.
Henry, all those things, they were your imagination. I didn't mean them that way at all. I didn't know about the army.
Weak excuses, Mrs. Russell. You're like all the rest. I'm too smart for you, and you know it. So you want to kill me. I'm a dangerous enemy, Mrs. Russell.
Oh. How long have I got to live, Henry?
Oh, a half hour. I don't know. The alarm will ring, and then I'll kill you.
I was resigned to it then. It seemed so hopeless. But then I thought if I could just get him to turn on the light, I might see a way out. It was a forlorn hope, but I tried it. Henry? Henry? How do you know you set the clock right? Henry!
I heard you.
No, you didn't answer. I thought...
You thought you could get me to turn on the light. Sorry, Mrs. Russell.
Henry? You're torturing yourself more than you are me, Henry. Do you know that?
What do you mean?
Well, you don't know when the alarm's going to ring either. You must be sitting on the edge of your seat waiting to hear it. Aren't you? You see, when it rings, I know that I'll have to die, but you know that you'll have to commit a terrible crime. Murder, Henry.
Shut up.
It is true, then, isn't it?
You can't trick me into turning on the light. I'm too smart for that. Oh, you're going to suffer in the dark. As I have. I decided to turn on the light, Mrs. Russell.
At first I was blind to having been in the dark so long. Then I saw his hands. They were long and slim and brown. Blue veins stood out on the backs of them. I looked up at him. He was glaring at me from beneath his bulging forehead. Then he picked up the alarm clock and looked at it. Henry, I see it's 10 minutes to 3.
Yes, Mrs. Russell. You have 10 minutes to live. Can you wait?
A tiny, neat living room. I was on a couch. The shades were down. There was no phone. Well, the front door might be unlocked. It might be. I can wait, Henry. 8 minutes now. Somehow with the lights on, I felt more optimistic, though. The hands were racing each other around the face of the clock. If I could just get untied now, there'd be a chance. I'd have to be careful, but quick.
5 minutes, Mrs. Russell.
Henry, what are those things strapped to that board over there on the wall?
Huh? Oh, that's my collection.
A collection?
Match folders.
Oh, do you collect match folders?
Oh, yes. I'll show them to you.
Oh, I held my breath as he took them down off the wall. If that clock would only stand still for 5 minutes.
Here. See? I have folders from all the famous night spots. Here's Ciro's, and the Stork Club, and 21. I bet you didn't think I'd been to all those places, did you?
Why, no. Have you, Henry?
Oh, sure, lots of times. People would never believe me. That's why I have these.
They're lovely, Henry. Henry, my arms and legs are numb from being tied up like this. Could you?
No! I warned you not to get tricky, Mrs. Russell.
I just wanted you to loosen my hands so I could look at your collection.
Well, just your hands.
I'd forgotten about everything. His collection for the moment. But that alarm would go any second and I would remind him.
Here.
As he untied my hands, my eyes fell on a large jade bookend beside the couch.
There. Now, be careful, Mrs. Russell. You just wanted to see my collection, remember?
Yes, Henry, show it to me.
Now. Oh, see this one? That's from the Coconut Grove.
Yes,
And,
Henry. I
and
let
this
my
one
hand steal along the couch toward the bookend.
New Orleans. Isn't that beautiful?
Yes, it is, Henry.
And,
I had it in my hand.
You're not paying attention.
Oh, yes, I am, Henry.